I'm very, very happy to see this beautiful room filled, and it's so great that all of you are here. Thank you very much for helping us to make this Human Rights Day for us a big success. Dear Honorable Milo Lawrence, the Honorable Chair of the South Sudan Human Rights Commission, maybe not here, but his spirit is here, I hope. Dear Ambassador, and Luca, my colleague from the German Embassy, who is here as well. Dear Human Rights Defenders, dear Joseph, thank you very much. Dear panelists, so we will have a fireside chat, I think. All protocols observed. Thank you for coming today. Today is a spotlight day. I call it like this, a spotlight day for human rights in the world. This is for us the most noble task of a diplomat, to raise the voice and to beat the drums for the respect, for the promotion of human rights and dignity in the world. It's a spotlight day because every day should be, and every day is a Human Rights Day. We are marking the proclamation of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights by the General Assembly on the 10th of December 1948. The 10th of December, a lot of things has happened since 1948, but we'll come back to that. The Universal Declaration is not the first human rights treaty. We can go way back in the history. In 1215, the Magna Carta. In 1789, you had the Déclaration des droits de l'homme et du citoyen of the French Revolution at that time. The national constitutions, they have human rights catalogs. So it is not new what happened in 1948. But the geniality of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is that it is universal. It applies to everybody, at all times, under all circumstances, everywhere. It is universal. It recognizes the inherent dignity and the equal and inalienable right of all members of the human family, is the foundation of freedom, justice and peace in the world. This is the masterstroke of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which was drafted by people from all over the world and represents the rights to people all over the world. And it means, it is very practical, it means the way a government treats its own citizens is of international concern. Human rights do not stop at the border. Human rights have no borders. And there is an international human rights architecture that looks after each and every of you to have and to defend and to proclaim its human rights. The Declaration also abolished with one stroke slavery and established equality. It applies for everybody. And there cannot be any hierarchy among rights. All human rights are equal, essential to ensure human dignity, whether they be civil, cultural, economic, political, or social rights. You have the right to work, you have the right to pay, you have the right to social security, you have the right to education, and these are all the social rights. They are also in this charter of 30 articles. 30 articles, you can write them on 3 pages. You have all the important articles, and I like very much here these things that all the articles, all the 30 articles are written in very comprehensible language, in big letters here at the University of Juba. I said in 1948 we had 56 countries, and the world has changed. In 1993, 184 countries, members of the United Nations. Now we have 193. But by then 184 countries, they came together in the city of Vienna, which is also my city. I was there at the conference. It was a huge conference on human rights which reconfirmed the 30 articles of the Universal Declaration for the 184 countries, and today it's the 193 countries, including South Sudan. The European Union embraces the declaration full-heartedly and made it its course of action. Respecting, protecting and fulfilling human rights is at the heart of the European Union. It's a silver thread that runs through its foreign policy. Respect for human rights, democracy and the rule of law underpin all aspects and all actions of the internal and external policies of the European Union. But, there is a but. But, respect for human rights and the rule of law is not a given. They can be turned around overnight. And we have seen this all over the world. We've seen this in European countries in a terrible way. They are fragile. They have to be protected. And the European Union actually is a response to the questions, what can we do to avoid this from happening again? You remember the European Union was founded by a declaration in 1950, 5 years after the horrors of the Second World War. Also now we are confronted with armed conflicts, humanitarian crisis, climate disasters, impunity, growing inequalities. We see backslidings of the sacred principles, or principles we once thought sacred, like human rights and democracy. So we have to work, argue, advocate, take action, stand up every day for the respect of human rights. And that's why I said the Human Rights Day is a spotlight day, but it's one day of 365. How can we break these lofty ideals into the streets of Yambi or the food shops of Wow? The European Union is supporting the peace process, the implementation of the peace agreement, an enabling environment for holding elections, the drafting of a permanent constitution and transitional justice, and we will discuss this later in the fireside chat. We support the Archimag and Citizen in supporting the peace process. Concerning the freedom of expression and civic space, we support the free press and media and the protection of journalists as well as those who defend human rights. And Joseph, you are here, thank you. Concerning the right to justice, we support the judicial reform for a more accessible, independent justice system that is able to hold to account the perpetrators of human rights violations, abuses, and law in general. No one shall be above the law. We have adopted a gender action plan, the empowerment and leadership of women, as well as support to the reduction of gender-based violence. And today is the last day, the concluding day of the 16-day campaign. And as I think as well that we have to turn the 60 days into 365. And last, because we very often talk about political and civic rights, and as I've mentioned, the Charter, the Universal Declaration, has social and economic rights as well, and these rights are at the same level. So there is a development program of the European Union. We support socio-economic development through support to education, health, infrastructure, for example, the bridge that was opened last week in Narmel, and agriculture. And we also advocate for the adoption and the implementation of international human rights conventions and the participation of South Sudan in international human rights architecture. So there is a lot of different measures that we are not together with member states and all of us international community is taking, is working on every day in order to secure the promotion and the respect of human rights. Finally, let me pay tribute to the sung, and in particular the unsung heroes of human rights who give and gave their time, their health, and sometimes their lives for the enjoyment of human rights for all. Let me thank all our partners, and in the first place those who organized, who enabled this wonderful event, Animo, the panelists, the MC, and my team, Freda and Francis. I'm looking forward to a great roundtable of fire chat discussion about accountability. Thank you very much.